I'm really excited to introduce my friend Neil Gray. He's an award-winning session drummer and tour manager, among many other titles that we could go into depth with. I brought Neil out here today, and I'm very excited to share some insight into his music and passion for art, and sort of like the nitty-gritty of what he has learned in his career, and share it with you. So thanks for coming out, Neil.
Oh, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm glad you could come out today and share insight into your career with us.
No problem.
So you play the drums, and what other instruments do you play?
Well, I play the drums mainly, and I've been playing the piano and the bass I've been playing the piano now since I was 18, so 12 years. Mm-hmm. I played the bass before then too, since I was about 14 or 15. I started fooling around with it, and guitar as well. So, and then other stuff that I could find around.
Yeah. And you went to university as well, and studied in university and got all the ear training and the book knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then also you've done a lot in your own career with producing music and working in different bands to eventually win one of the Okanagan Music Awards. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with my first major band, Zen Media.
Yeah.
At one point, I was working in the studio probably 11 hours a day, just learning how to produce the music, how to mix the music, spending a lot of time listening to different techniques for making the different instruments in the mix sound different. Mm-hmm. Like literally listening to a snare drum with a certain amount of delay compared to a snare drum with a little bit less delay, and do I like the one with more delay less than the one with less delay, and which one seemed better, and hours of just getting into the nitty gritty of the production side of things.
Wow, yeah. That seems like some heavy work. Yeah.
It was lots of hours of work. Yeah.
So what drives you to work so many hours and get into all these fine details that maybe some other people would pass over? Like what is the passion and the drive and fire behind your art?
There's a huge passion and fire behind my art. At that point in time, it definitely came down to listening to so many good CDs since I was a young kid. Hours and hours and hours spent listening to music, hours and hours spent listening to bass lines and drum lines and guitar lines and vocalists, and just hearing them almost on a godlike level, just them pumping into my eardrums and wanting to produce something that had that same level of integrity.
Oh, okay.
And also a real desire to affect people, to create a kind of a healing of the nation. I wanted to see a worldwide change in the mentality of people and the spirit of people, and I really wanted to spearhead that. I wanted to see it happen in my lifetime. I wanted to see people all over the world, starting from my hometown and outwards, become affected by the music I was creating. So, and I knew that the only way to do that was to have a really strong level of integrity. I had to be there every step of the way. If I wasn't there, then who was going to be there? So I spent hours and hours. I was driven by this kind of incomprehensible force that moved through me and gave me visions.
Yeah, so like an ambition to really do something great and impact people's lives positively.
Yeah, that is exactly what it was, to do something that was above and beyond. Because I had listened to this music that had affected me in a way that had changed my life. So I wanted to take kind of my spot in that same place and do that stuff to the next group of people. And also so that kind of a two-way gift, a gift to the people who had affected me by stepping up and showing what I could do, and a gift to the people who are going to come next by giving them something to measure themselves by.
Yeah. And like, what does your art really mean to you? Like, can you maybe try and express into words what the thought of not being able to express music almost is. Like what makes, and is that fire inside you that really makes art mean a lot to you?
Well, that's heavy for me. You know, like for me, it really comes from like a universal creator perspective. I believe in a creator, and I believe that there is a source for which all things flow from, and thus I am a reflection of that source of all things. And so as I create, the creator creates, and together we push and evolve existence. So it really comes from like a deep core place. And I've even tried to run away from that. I've tried, you know, like it's been such a heavy responsibility and privilege that at times I haven't felt like I've lived up to it. And at other times I felt like it was this nagging intensity that I couldn't escape from. And there was a point in time where I actually put music down, or I tried to put music down. I never fully was able to do it, is to see if what was happening was just like an obsession. And, but I found I could never really escape from it. And that this force that moves through me, it seems to move through most musicians, most people who really let themselves be a conduit for that energy, it stayed. It broke through any type of defense I tried to create until I'm kind of here now where I just am that and I can't do anything about it. I'm kind of a puppet for this energy that... For sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's just take a second for that emotion, man. I appreciate it. I like it.
Yeah, it's very intense. Yeah, it's a very intense emotion. It gets right to my heart, you know, because it's been with me for so long. And because it's been with me for so long and I've gone through so much with it and I've looked at it from so many different angles, it does conjure a lot in me. Like I have my heart on my sleeve as a musician, and every time I step up to whatever instrument I'm going to play, it's always with my heart on my sleeve. So that's what drives my art.
Yeah, great. Yeah. What do you hope the audience gets from your music? Like when you're creating this amazing place where this energy goes through, what do you hope your audience takes away from that?
Well, I hope these days I've always hoped for an irrevocable change is really what it is. I'd hope that people would witness me playing the music and have a transcendental experience. I always hoped and always strive for a situation where people feel as if they've awoken to something that they had never realized existed. An extraordinary event, something that changed, like I said, changed them irrevocably. So that's what I'm always looking to create, is a change. That's what
great. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Now this is, I think I can really connect with that as well. I really love how music impacts people and can improve their life quality and is just a part of who we are as emotional and expressive people.
Mm-hmm. And I think that part is it's integral to kind of hold on to and spread because in our modern days where everything is very edited, compressed and quantized and shipped off as a product, those things aren't bad in any way. But the integrity, I would hope, is that when that product finally arrives in whatever situation it arrives in, mm-hmm. it has an emotional palpability because that's what's human, you know?
Yeah, and like you talk so much about giving so much to the audience and about giving a huge part of yourself and taking that energy and putting it into music. What do you get back from doing that? Like what is that to you? Like is it a sense of fulfillment, or can you maybe elaborate?
It's the music is what comes back to me. It's a many stages in it, many parts, I guess you'd say. In one sense, every time a piece of art comes through me, and it truly comes through me, it's not just a reaction to the surroundings, but something that seems to come from above, I guess you'd say. I follow that back to where it came from, and I kind of, in a sense, witness God. And that's always a very humbling moment when the art really drives through me like a lightning bolt, and I witness that greater experience that we're all kind of cradled within. So that is what I'm always striving for through my art. That's what I really hope to get. I'm not so worried about getting something from the audience. I love the feedback from the audience. I love how there's this thing that conjures, this thing that creates, and I love the support of a good audience.
Right. I
feel that's when the real art comes through. But that's just the flesh and bone, material matter, conscious world. But what I really care about is that divine essence that moves through. And when the people are open enough to support me in my opening, and that comes through, that's what I really love. When I feel buoyed by the audience, when the audience is witnessing the experience and enjoying it, and then through their joy, it creates more joy, and I'm able to open deeper and provide more of something. That's where I get my joy.
Yeah, that's a really big picture way of looking at experiencing music.
Thank you.
I really like that.
Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks. Yeah, and then there's just like on a subtler level, I get a huge joy out of the crack of the snare drum. I get a huge joy out of the ring of the ride cymbal. I get a huge joy out of feeling that bass. You know, that punch. You know, from the bass. You know, all that. I love the sound, the feeling, and the kinetic feeling of the piano. Yeah. And how precise the pitches are. So all those, on a detail level, there's those things too.
Yeah. And with what attitude would you recommend students who are coming up, or artists who are already on their journey approach music? With what attitude would you recommend might really help them in their journey through music?
I'd say this to all my students, and that's to be really gentle with yourself. I find that a lot of people, myself as well, you get very hard on themselves. I've been hard on myself to a point of exhaustion, anxiety, paranoia, you know, about a lot of things. And typically in the process of being hard on myself, or hard on other people as well, the thing that we're all striving towards dies. So be gentle. The more you can be gentle and soft and take short, small steps and be happy with what you have so far, the quicker you'll go. Yeah.
Okay.
So if I'm saying to someone, like, if you're having trouble playing a riff on the guitar, or you're having trouble like making that arrangement or whatever it is, just slow down.
For sure. Chances
are it's just that you're chomping at the bit. Yes. You just want it to be over with so you can get to the next thing. And then that to me just snuffs out what you were really here for, right? Which is that experience.
The patience and the journey rather than the actual destination.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really, it's integral. And we say that all the time. I say that, and I still go through my own, you know, wormholes of problems in my mind, you know. But I find that they do dissolve themselves and resolve themselves when I take a step back and I go, just keep doing it, but don't be so hard on yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and throughout your career, you've won an award for the Okanagan Music Awards. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you've toured Western Canada.
For sure. Yeah, a few times.
Tons of groups. You've gone to university for music. You're playing in Vancouver now.
Yeah, with you,
with
which is
me,
great.
actually.
It's awesome. Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, Neil, he's a good drummer. He's a lot of fun to play with.
Thanks. Jan's my killer bass player.
Watch out for this. Watch out for this guy in the next coming months and year.
Thanks.
Anyway, so enough of our boosting each other's ego.
For sure.
Could do this all day.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah. So in your career, you've gone from small living room projects all the way to big projects where you've put a lot of yourself into that sort of thing, and then now some of those projects are not there anymore. Can you maybe give us some insight into maybe some things you've learned along the way of having projects work really well and then them petering out, and how maybe that works for you? Because I think maybe a lot of other musicians, they might be experiencing a similar thing where they've gone into an amazing creative project and then they go out of it and it's a tough, almost like a withdrawal phase.
It's a heartbreak.
So how would you recommend, or like what lessons did you learn from going through this type of process?
Yeah, they've been tough lessons, A project can be like a marriage. It's you deeply connect with the people. You make friendships. You have life experiences together. It's not always just about the music. Maybe you go out and party together. Maybe you do lots of stuff together. And I think that maybe what you're getting at is like what is it like to deal with failure? That's like probably the biggest thing that it comes down to. And I'd say that dealing with failure isn't easy. It's definitely the hardest part, but it's also the most integral part, because through the failure of many of my projects, like the things that I have done always ultimately have come to an end. The recognition in it has been a change in myself, and typically the change in myself has brought about a deeper understanding of who I am. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't fear failure in your projects. Don't go into the projects being afraid of what happened or what could happen next. And when you leave the project, number one, try and hold on to those people in those projects as friends, because you never know when things are going to come back around. And I've had a lot of things come back around where projects have died. I've gotten in fights with people. There's been problems. People aren't doing the work that they should be doing. I don't feel like they're doing the work. We're being hard on each other. We're getting deep into the nitty gritty of what really puts a project together. Because there's the honeymoon phase, right, where you're like, everyone gets together. They're like, we're really moving and grooving. We're getting this together. We're getting gigs. People are stoked on us. And then you start saying, I don't really like that lick that you're doing. I think we could change that, and people start going, I don't want to change that, or I don't think that's true. And, and all of a sudden you get at this place where it becomes political almost, where they have an opinion and their opinion isn't necessarily wrong, and you have an opinion and your opinion isn't necessarily wrong. And somehow you have to grind out this stuff and still have love for each other, and you might have to go, you know what? I wasn't right about this, and you're right, and be cool with that, and actually be cool with it, not just play being cool with it, but really be cool with it, And then and also expect that from other people too. When you know that your idea is good, and the other person's idea has flaws, and down the road it's not going to work out, to hope that other person has the humility to go, you know what? My idea was just an idea, and your idea was dope. Let's go with your idea. So being able to have like a love for each other, stay committed and connected to each other, even if the project doesn't work out, if the project fades, because the project is just like a bubble in time. It's just a moment. It's a thing, right? But you never know when that person, that human being, is going to come back into your life, and how they're going to reintegrate, or what they've learned, and how they might add to your life. They might add value to your life later on. They might have taken value from your life, and then later on they recognize that and they come back and they add value to your life.
For sure.
So in terms of failure and having projects fail, or at least having imperfections in projects that tore them apart, remember that you're all people, and that in essence, everyone has their frailties, their issues. Everyone has the things that they're dealing with in life that you might never ever even know about. So don't let the project become so big in your mind that you forget about the people that are involved, because you're always part of a scene, you know. And that's been a failure on my part, where I've been like, oh, I never want to see that person again or something because they didn't play the guitar line I wanted them to play or something like that, which is so finite. You know, it might not even be wrong, but it's so finite in terms of people and the experience of living, you know?
Right.
So I hope that answers,
Yeah, I think that's a really good take on how to handle these sorts of things. I think another thing, not quite as much at the failure state or the breaking apart, but right before, what I really liked about what you're saying is that each person has a different point of view on what they want to see in the song. And I'm going to put in my own take here. Like one thing I've learned personally playing in tons of groups, this week I have 8 projects on the go, and I'm playing shows in almost all of those projects. And there's a lot of people and a lot of moving parts in each thing. And as I'm sure Neil has experience with, everybody wants to be the leader, and everybody has their ideas, and everybody has an idea that's the best idea. And for what I found works really well in making bands work really well together is, for one, eat food together, because you always bond. And
bonding is really important.
Also, who doesn't like eating food? And the second thing is that each person in the band is treated as a music director. So whether they are the drummer, bassist, guitar player, pianist, vocalist, backup vocalist, even a substitute player who came in, each person is equal in that project. And if they have an idea, almost all the time it's worth trying, and it's worth seeing if that maybe could be a better option, and then trying another option, and then having a take on it, and people can feel it out. And generally, when you do play through a few different options and a few different ideas, then the best idea sort of comes out of the music, and the music gets to speak for itself. Because that's why we're there. It's because we love making amazing music, not because we need to boost our egos to the maximum 100-point percentage. Although, you know, it is nice to boost your ego. Totally. Right? I like it, you know.
Everyone does it.
And it's about making the music, and it's about making the music really great. And I think that core part is a really great look into how to have longevity with your group, and longevity with your friends, and longevity in your projects, and the scene,
especially the scene, because you might not, every time like a project collapses, it's like a flower sending out its seeds. All those people, typically, if they're still musicians, they're going to go to another project. So now all of a sudden, rather than having one project, you have 6 projects. So then you can go and see your friends play in those projects. You might get invited, like you say, a sub in a project. You have no idea. All of a sudden now you have more potential. So if you look at the situation like, oh, that didn't work, and now I'm a failure, and this is never going to work out, well, you're really losing out a chance at 6 more possible projects, right? So it's important to hold on to the love.
Yes. I like that. That's a good final note, Neil. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for checking out our interview with Neil today. I'm really excited that we got to share some insight into the depth that he has a passion for music, and his love for each aspect in the music, whether that be the really deep part or that be the superficial touch and feel of an instrument. Thanks, Neil, again for coming out.
No problem.
And, I'm sure we'll see a lot of great music from you soon in Vancouver and then also on different tours.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of things to stay tuned for. And thank you for checking out our weekly musician interview today.